And the news is breaking, I think, as I go to report to you now that her current marriage to Hersey is on the brink of dissolving, being either they're separating or getting divorced, but that's the report. I don't know if that's true or not, but the Daily Mail is reporting that right now. But what a scandal this is. And when her hometown newspaper, her liberal newspaper, she can ignore the Paroline blog, right? She can call them racist for even asking the questions, which is what she's done. But she can't ignore the establishment newspaper in her state. And this is the game she's playing with the establishment newspaper in her state. Sent a list of questions and a request to talk to her siblings and father. Omar declined to do so. Hersey did not reply to multiple calls, texts, and emails. Social media posts indicate Elmi is in Africa. He did not respond to multiple emails. Omar's relatives could also clear the air, but they have remained silent about her marriage to Elmi. She declined to make her family available for the story. In 2016, her campaign provided the names of 6 siblings, but only their first names, citing their need for privacy. Elmi was not among them. In October 2018, Omar showed a Star Tribune reporter cell phone photos of family immigration papers, but would not share the actual documents. So she comes to the country. She gets married in her faith tradition, according to this report, in 2002 with Hersey. They break up and divorce in their faith tradition, so they weren't really legally married. They were, I guess, married. I think they were married by a Christian minister, so I'm not quite sure what their faith tradition is. And in 2009, she marries Elmi. Now, why am I asking questions about whether her name is Omar or Elmi? Because the allegation is, and it needs to be investigated, that when her family came to the United States from Kenya, she's originally from Somalia, and then they were in Kenya, in a refugee center there, that some of her family went to the United Kingdom under the name Elmi, and she came in with her father and some siblings under the name Omar, but her name is really Elmi. So that's why I'm asking whether her name is actually Omar. And of course, if Elmi is her biological brother, that would certainly suggest her name is actually Elmi. So this is not about Ilhan Omar's socialism, her anti-Semitism, her anti-Israel fanaticism, her support for terrorist front group Council on Arab-Islamic Relations. That's a front for the terror group Hamas. It's not about that. You know, that's another argument, and I would be critical of her on those issues. This is about whether she broke the law and what the process is to hold her to account. Judicial Watch can't prosecute her. We're a nonprofit educational foundation. We can expose the truth. We can try to get documents indirectly. We'll be doing investigations on that. We can demand other agencies and responsible authorities do the investigations through our educational efforts. And that's what we've done with the House of Representatives. We filed the ethics complaint, and now it's up to the House to tell the American people how they're going to handle this evidence scandal. And I suggest that you figure out whether you want this to be handled or not, and share your views with your members of Congress. You can call them at 202-224-3121, 202-224-3121. If you don't know who your member of Congress is, and I understand that sometimes is the case, and it's not the end of the world, you can figure it out and go to, by going to house.gov, and you can see who your member of Congress is. And there are other ways to communicate with your members of Congress other than the switchboard number I gave you. You can call your members' local offices in your hometown and talk to staff there, but you should communicate what your views are about Ilhan Omar. Because if left to their own devices, the politicians in the House are going to do nothing. And I don't mean that just Democrats, I mean Republicans as well. This has been around, this story has been around since she's been in Congress. You know, she's not been a politician that long. I think she was elected to the state legislature in 2016. The story, then she was elected to Congress in 2018. So her rise has been pretty extraordinary to her credit. But if she broke the law to do it and covered up that's really a significant fraud upon the American people, on the voters of her district, and on the House. And is the House going to tolerate this? The Republicans didn't file this complaint. Judicial Watch did. We know how it goes. This is the way the House Ethics Committee is comprised. Typically, the committees in the House reflect the majority-minority ratios, more or less. So in a typical committee, let's say it will be 60-40, 60% Democrat, 40% Republicans. I know the numbers may be different technically, but that's the way it typically works. So there's always a majority of Democrats if the Democrats are running the House, and the opposite, obviously, if the Republicans run the House. But on a committee like the Ethics Committee, it's split evenly. Well, why is that? Well, that's one way to protect their own against significant ethics complaints. So if no Republican wants to move forward on an ethics complaint, it won't happen. If no Democrat wants to move forward on an ethics complaint, it won't happen. And how is it we get that mutually assured destruction pact to be minimized so that something gets done here? You've got to let your members of Congress know. There needs to be a groundswell of Americans who call their members of Congress and say, we need something done on Ilhan Omar. You know, and if you don't think there should be something done, call them too. I'm not going to get in your way of doing that. But there's got to be pressure put on the Hill to do this. And I think it's just really, it's extraordinary that this woman is given such a platform on all these policy issues without a discussion of this basic scandal. That, as I say, if there is a House ethics process that works and they conclude this information is valid, that she did commit the frauds that she's accused of doing, she should be expelled from Congress, in the least. There's certainly enough evidence for the Justice Department, the Department of Homeland Security, the Internal Revenue Service. Who knows? What else? With the Department of Education, do they investigate student loan fraud? I don't know. The House ethics process needs to work, and she needs to be investigated. And the criminal process needs to work, and she needs to be investigated. And maybe I'm sure there are state laws at issue here still, beyond the campaign finance issue that's already been adjudicated or handled. So it's once again Judicial Watch stepping into the breach, doing some basic work that Congress refuses to do, which is to get an ethics process, an ethics complaint going against Ilhan Omar over these widely and publicly available charges that have been unrefuted by her largely. And so now it's up to you to keep the ball rolling. So I encourage you to do that.